Hola, ¿me escuchan bien? Sí. Okay, I'm gonna do it in English, just in case there are English speakers here. Actually, in our team we have a few, and they're here, so I think it makes more sense. My name is Matías Nisenson. I'm one of the founders and CEO of Wonderland. Wonderland is an activist fund for Web3. What that means is we kind of look for protocols that make sense for DeFi. So they are like key protocols, things that really, really make sense. We invest in them, and then we deploy our team. We have a 20-people team, mostly composed of Solidity developers. And we deploy them into these protocols to help technically, to help with the technical side of the protocol. Usually this translates to a lot of value because we improve products, we improve tokenomics and a few other things, and then that's a much better product that we live when we live. So that's basically an activist fund. I just want to, first, this is my excuse. Matilda was born 2 weeks ago, so I haven't slept for a single day. And I have not prepared this presentation at all. And this is something that actually happened as well 2 weeks ago, and it's really handy for this. This is DALL-E. I'm not sure if you're familiar with this, but this is basically an AI where you can input any text, and the output is going to be a set of images, AI-generated, really cool stuff. So most of this presentation is either a really cool AI-generated slide or a really shitty slide generated by myself. So you're going to see stuff like this. Here the input was a long rug. On one end, a man pulls. On the other end, a man falls, cyberpunk style. And this was generated absolutely by DALL-E, which is really, really cool. So let's get to it. This talk is called Hacks, Rugs, Lack of Accountability, Broken DAOs, and more. How do we fix it? It's going to be really negative at first, and then it's going to be a bit more optimistic at the end. And you're not going to get an answer for how do we fix it, because I have no fucking idea. But this is one of the first problems. There is no accountability, right? Being anon is necessary. It's really important. And you can see that with the case now with Tornado Cash, the guy going to jail just because he wrote code, which is fucked up. So you really need to be an anon. But at the same time, how can you be accountable for your work if you're anon, right? If you steal funds, like how do we find you? If you fuck up with code, how do we find you? Like that. And this is an example in our team. Most of our team, I mean, everyone in the team except for the COO and myself is anon. And these are 3 of the team members. So one is Gorilla, 0x Gorilla. The other one is called Dr. Gorilla. And the other one is called 0x Mono, which is Spanish for monkey. So, I mean, to this point, they could just be the same person. And we met them in a retreat, and we know they're not. But you have no idea. Like, actually, if you see this is a piece CoinDesk posted just a while ago. This one developer had 10 different accounts, and he was like kind of rugging different protocols and pumping different stuff from all these really famous like developer accounts. So this is one problem that needs solving, and you know it's kind of hard to solve in a way. Most DAOs are not DAOs, and that's the sushi logo, just as an example. But you know, I haven't found a DAO that really works like a DAO. DAO stands for Decentralized Autonomous Organizations, and in this case, I really believe the only letter that applies is the O, organization. The rest is bullshit. They are not decentralized nor autonomous or anything like that. I put the sushi logo here. I'm sure you're familiar with SushiSwap, which is this like Uniswap fork with this really cool story. It started out with, again, with a really cool story, and then it went like in this like sort of death spiral because of mismanagements. I would say like the leaders kind of fucked up several times, and it ended up being what it is. We, as an activist fund, when we see value, we kind of go there and try to fix it, or we try to help to add our value in technical terms. So we decided to post this proposal to their forum. It was called Fukatsu, Make Sushi Great Again. And why do we say this? Because the current status of SushiSwap, or at least a couple of months ago, was that they only had like 3-4 developers. They had no executive team, no strategy team, no business team. So it was only a few developers left trying to do whatever they could to make it or to keep it alive. And my props to them because, that's a hard work. But still, there is a lot of people that invested a shit ton of money in their token, and then the executive team left, and many developers left, and a protocol with several billion dollars under management was only being run by 3 or 4 developers, which is crazy. So we came up with this proposal. We thought it was, some sort of a DAO, so we would get, the possibility to at least kind of showcase our proposal, and that was not the case. And I'm going to tell you what happened. And this this is the case for most DAOs, sadly, though. This is just for you to have an idea, and these numbers are not exact or whatever, but it's just to show this sort of the spiral. The treasury at some point was in the several $100 million or $1 billion. There were some tokens that were not treasury tokens, but anyways, it was something really, really close to $1 billion in the treasury. And after all this shit show of mismanagement and bad decisions and stuff, the current treasury is something like $20 million. So this is how you destroy value when things are decentralized and autonomous, and they're really not. I'm going to just show a few of the problems of DAOs to really show how this works nowadays. When you post a proposal, everyone can proposal if you hold tokens or whatever. Our proposal, the Fukatsu proposal, had 51% in favor. That means at least it should be considered or voted or something. And how this works is you post the proposal, and then this proposal, if it has enough support, goes to what they call a snapshot page, which is like a voting page where people can vote with their tokens and say what they would like to happen in the protocol. So our proposal got 51%. That means it should be voted on. People should be able to say if they like the proposal or not. But what really happened, and what happens in this type of decentralized organizations, is that only 3 people can post the proposal in the snapshot page. So only 3 people can decide if a proposal can be voted on or not. And this is obviously not decentralized. These 3 people are gatekeeping the voting process, right? So that's not a democracy. It's fucked up. And funny enough, obviously, these 3 people are on the same team, which is the current team. So anyways, it's really hard to make a change, or it's hard for any other party to suggest a change for this DAO. So basically, they gatekeep the snapshot, and this happens in most DAOs. The other thing, which is it's kind of like a plutocracy where the wealthy just take the shots, call the shots, and it's not that much of a democracy, because I think in the case of Sushi, it was just one whale that can make any proposal just pass or be approved. It was 1 or 2, but usually being wealthy does not mean being smart or being able to to call the shots. And this has been shown in the case of Sushi and how they destroyed value so hard. So in this case, for Sushi, that whale is a hedge fund called Arca that you may not know. We had the pleasure to know them and to meet them. And as I said, you don't really need to be smart to call the shots. And this kind of shows the case. This reads, crypto fund Arca sees buying opportunity in Terra stablecoin. So when the USD went down, they went ahead and they bought a shit ton of Terra and USD as well. That did not turn up well, obviously. But these were the guys calling the shots in Sushi, for example. A few other things. If this was really decentralized, which was not the case, you could have spent something like $10 million buying Sushi tokens and then approve your own proposal, because most token holders do not participate in governance. The community kind of shrink so bad that no one votes. No one really votes. So with something like $10 million at that point, you could have passed any proposal if it was really decentralized. And that proposal could be malicious and say hey, I want to basically take everything from the treasury and do X, and you could have done it if it was decentralized. So yeah, that's one problem. And I believe like Sushi and a few other DAOs, like multi-billion dollar DAOs, are run like a choripan stand or like a laundromat or something like this. So this is how I feel about most DAOs. It says a software developer selling choripan, he has a sushi tattoo on his arm, and it works like a charm. The processes are really, really bad. No one is accountable for anything. Salaries are crazy. And there are like a bunch more problems. It's just like whenever you get into a DAO, you will see the reality and you will not believe how they are managed. But anyways, we mentioned lack of accountability. We mentioned DAOs that are not really DAOs. And then obviously the other hot topic is like the hacks and the rugs and all the money that is burned and lost and everything. This DALI says photograph of a pile of money on fire. I could have definitely Googled that and just pick up an image from Google, but I was addicted to DALI. So this is obviously another hot topic. Can you recognize which hack this was? Not Nomad, no. It's $600 million. It reads a job interview that ended up in 600 million cybercrime. Yes, Axie. So Axie has Ronin that you probably heard about, and this is again. I'm not trying to like kind of shit on the developers. I'm just saying many of the things that you hear about like decentralized and yada yada, they're not really like that. In the case of Axie or Ronin, this was like a spear. They call it like a spear phishing attack, where they kind of went for one of the developers of Ronin. They found him. And they offered him a job interview. They told him, hey, we have a job for you. We're going to pay you a shit ton of money if you join us. They went through all. This was obviously a group of hackers and not a real company, but they put together a fake company. They called an Axie developer, offered him a shit ton of money for this job, and then sent him the proposal on a PDF that was infected. They got access to his computer. They got access to the keys of 4 out of 9 multi-sig signers for Ronin, and they literally stole 600 million. And the shit show doesn't really stop there, because they only found out about the hack and about the fact that they lost $600 million a week later, because the right tooling is just not in place. So that's another thing that we have to kind of consider. Then someone mentioned Nomad and all the other bridges, wormhole and stuff like that. So here it reads, digital art of a bridge collapsing, fire on the background, people ejected from it. Super cool image, and again, I love DALI. But yeah, that's just another case that where things are not kind of working out. Again, the concept behind everything that I'm talking about, it makes sense, but the execution is just not right. All this that I mentioned and all this, like all this critique to DAOs and to DeFi and everything is behind door 1, but what's behind door 2? And that's the TradFi system. So 3D render of the poo emoji behind a big open door. And that's basically the current system, or the status quo, the TradFi system, which is to me and probably to most of you a piece of shit. In this slide, I was supposed to put the MPS, the MPS for banks and governments. MPS, I'm not sure if you're familiar with the term, is like a metric to show if people likes or dislikes a certain thing, concept, company, or whatever. And this slide was supposed to be here because I believe nobody really likes or trusts banks or governments in general in most countries. And immutable code makes more sense for most of these things. Truth is I couldn't find the NPS for most things, and this was kind of me looking for the NPS. It didn't work. But I think, like, if I ask most of you, I think we will all agree that banks suck and government sucks, especially in a country like ours. So that's one thing we can discuss. We're in Argentina. We can discuss about politics, for a long time. We can discuss about banks. But if you're not from Argentina, I can show you why Argentina has like the crypto adoption that Argentina has, and DeFi and all these things, and why we're here, and there are like 5,000 people in this conference. And this is basically because this happened 20 years ago. Basically, banks stole the money of the whole Argentinian population or something like that. That reads, I took my money to the bank, so they take care of it, and they ended up stealing it, which is, again, what happened. This is also, like some sort, like another way of stealing the people's money, Argentinians' money. And this is a piece the New York Times posted, I think, like 10 days ago or something. It says, think 9% inflation is bad, try 90. And that's like 9% is inflation in the US, 90% was inflation here. So that's literally like a halving, but of your salary, right? Like your salary is half at the end of the year. And then this was all mostly like banks and politics and everything. If you want to understand the MPS of politicians and governments and stuff like that, you should ask any Argentinian in this room for opinions on these people, and you'll figure out if they like or dislike politicians or if they trust them. In my case, I do not trust them. I wouldn't trust them with my money or my life or anything. So that's why I think that's why I'm in crypto and why I believe in this technology. And if you ask why I do not trust these people is, for example, this case. This is an Argentinian congressman. He's a representative of the Argentinian population. He was literally like breastfeeding in a Zoom, in a live session. Like this was a live session of our Congress. So this is the type of people that they want us to to trust with our money and everything else. I wouldn't do it. Anyways, yeah, code is better. We just need to get better at writing it and at testing it. We need better tooling, and that's mostly the reason why we are working with Wonderland and what we're doing with Wonderland. And this is just on a more positive note. It took us 2,000 years to learn how to take a shit. So I guess it makes sense, that we've been doing DeFi for like 6-7 years, or like 6 years at the most. So it makes sense. This is pretty funny. This is the Romans thought of taking a shit like a social event. So they would all gather around and take a shit together. The problem here was that they wiped their ass with like a sponge on a stick, and they would all share the same sponge. So that didn't work, obviously. Then if we go to medieval times, they would take a shit and just throw the shit through the window into the street. If you were poor, you would do that. If you were wealthy, you would have like this type of structure where shit would fall into the street automatically. Well, they started getting pandemics that killed a lot more people than COVID. And their river got infected and stuff like that, so that didn't work as well. And then we get to like more modern times, the Victorian toilet. This would be shared by around 250 people at the same, at a single time. So this obviously did not work out. And then we have like the really modern toilet, the ones we have that we do not share because it doesn't work. So anyways, what I mean is we still need time to mature. And I guess to have censorship-resistant, I would say, economic freedom, that takes time, and it will take time, and we'll keep fucking up for like a long time. And then everyone talks about like the hacks and how much money was lost due to these hacks and stuff like that. And this is a list of hacks that I took from Rect. This is every single hack for more than $10 million that happened since 2020 until this date. And obviously, I'm talking about the whole world, not just a country. This is everything. And if you add up all these numbers, it turns out to be like something between 4 billion and 4.5 billion, something like this. But Everyone talks about this and like, oh, DeFi is so dangerous and stuff like that. But if you compare this with TradFi, just last year, 2021, 5.8 billion, which is obviously more than 4.5. 5.8 billion were lost just in the US with TradFi. So when we analyze the problem of losing money or like all the hacks and the rugs and scams and stuff like that, it's not a problem of crypto or DeFi. It's a problem like the financial system has. So anyways, I think this is kind of good to understand that we need to get better, but this is not our problem specifically. This is a global problem. It affects literally every single financial service and system. And hopefully we will get better, we will lose less money, and we'll gain the trust of more people. But this is not specifically for DeFi. And this is something I'd like to say. I really believe after like saying all these bad things, I really believe losing some money is necessary. Like a few of these things are really necessary. When you want to innovate and when you want to create new things and kind of move the whole industry forward, you need to break things. There is no way to create value and to come up with new things without breaking some things. That's a reality. And if you look at the history of most technologies and how they progress, they broke things in the middle. And I say part of it is necessary because of this, because it's, again, like it's necessary and it happens, but also part is not. And so shit like Terra are not necessary. Like if you break things, but you do not bring any innovation and you do not push forward the ecosystem and stuff like that, I think that's not necessary and that could have been avoided. And that's just damage that you kind of inflict in the ecosystem and the people and the trust and everything else. So I believe part of it is necessary, part of it is not. This is just a cool meme I found, and I feel a bit like this, like low IQ and high IQ think the same thing about like DAOs and stuff like that, and in the middle we just like shit on the problems and stuff like that. Anyways, again, we are Wonderland. This is like a bit of a really short, shameless plug. We're looking for protocols that make sense to help them. If you work with any protocol that kind of need help and is part of or a key part of the ecosystem, feel free to reach out. Also, if you're a developer and you know Solidity or you want to start working on Solidity, but you've been playing around, but you're not an expert yet, and you'd like to work with really, really smart people, I'm not talking about me, I'm talking about the Solidity team, please reach out as well. This is just, we're going to host an event tomorrow. It's like a Solidity hacking competition, like a capture the flag. We're hosting it with Connext. I'm not sure if the invitations are already closed or not, but you can check it out. With the first QR, you can reach out to me through Twitter. You can do that if you're with a protocol and would like to collaborate with us, if you're a developer and would like to work with us, or if you just want to read the shit I post. And in the second QR, you will find the invitation for the Solidity hacking competition, which happens tomorrow. If by any reason that link is closed, which might be the case, you can just find me and I'll get you an invitation. So I think that's it. Yep. Thank you.